Thalasseamia is one of a group of genetic blood disorders referred to as hemoglobinopathies. Patients with beta thalassemia major, the most severe type of thalassemia, cannot make normal red blood cells and don't produce enough hemoglobin. Without lifelong complex treatment, thalassemia is fatal. In this documentary, 3 sufferers explain what it's like living with this condition.
My name's Braxia and I suffer with beta thalassemia major.
And I'm Theo, her sister, who also suffers from the same condition. Thalassemia does actually impact my life. If I'm going on holiday, I always have to book around my treatment, always have to make sure I take medication with me. Work life, again, I always have to work around my working pattern.
With daily life, coping with thalassemia, it's quite stressful, tiring, trying to cope with a job and a house and running to the hospitals every 3 weeks. It just puts a damper on your life.
My treatment consists of having 2 units of blood every 3 weeks.
I actually go up to the hospital every 4 weeks for 3 units. It depends on the patient and how anaemic they actually get and how often they have to go.
And I also have to have twice a week an infusion, a chelation, which is called a Baxter pump, where I install a small needle in my tummy and actually sleep with this pump on for 10 hours. During them 10 hours, the medication that's in the pump picks up iron that's installed in my body that doesn't need to be there.
One of the complications is when you're actually giving blood to a patient, you can't actually separate the iron from the blood, and it's this what actually causes the damage for a thalassemic patient. There's a lot of patients that won't actually use the Desferal because it involves having a needle put into your stomach, and there's a lot of patients that can't handle that.
Every morning I take 3 of these tablets, which they are the X-Jade in place of the pumps. I kept on getting lumps where I was doing my chelation and it was hurting me, and then it was getting me down and it was depressing me. So they suggested if I wanted to go on the X-Jade because I didn't have any iron overload in my organs.
Back in the early 80s, we was losing a lot of the patients that we were growing up with. They stopped doing their Desferal because that was the main problem, and they just gave up with life. Within 3 years, I think we lost about 8 patients.
I lost my brother in 1981 with an iron overload, and in 1986 I lost my sister with iron overload, and it was very difficult for losing 2 siblings within the 5-year gap because of the medication that wasn't how it is now.
It's not such a big problem as it was when we were growing up. Medicine has helped us come as far as what we have, and I hope most of the patients out there can see this and say that it's not something that should hinder you. We've got doctors now that are thalassemic patients, we've got lawyers, there's so many opportunities, whereas when we were growing up we didn't have that hope, and I hope now that patients have got hope, and I hope eventually it will be a disease of the past.